see. All right. I think we're good. Cool. So Jack, if you want to just go ahead and introduce yourself, let us know kind of how you got started, kind of a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. All right. So I'm Jack. I'm 18. My birthday was in April. And I got started a little over 2 years ago with my dad. He was like, yeah, you should get long-term investing. You should get that going. He never invested himself because he literally didn't have the money, working 2 jobs, the whole thing. I didn't grow up with much. And I didn't really understand that. Like, well, you're telling me to do this, but you're not doing it yourself. And I realized that it's just because he didn't have the money. But then I did it myself. I worked a summer job. All my paychecks went into there. I thought it was really cool. I was making, $5, $10. I'm like, that's sick. And then I saw this little options thing on Robinhood. I'm like, what is options? And I looked it up and I'm like, oh, this is really cool. And then I just bought one and it went to 0. I'm like, what is this? I thought you could just hold it forever. And you couldn't do that. And then I hopped into like Facebook groups, and as I started to learn more about options, and then joined some random person's Discord. There was like 20 members in it. This big member guy, and he's like, buy this option, buy that option. I think he was so bad with his signals. I mean, hopefully he's not listening to this, but he was so bad with the signals. I'm like, oh my God, I got to figure out how to do this myself. And then I really got into it. I think heavily over, especially when Corona hit. I was into it before, but then when Corona hit, I was sitting in my house doing absolutely nothing but playing Xbox. So I was just all over YouTube, all over the place, and just getting the basics down, like what are Greeks, the whole thing. And then I joined some group, TCX, and I just got started with them. And I was like, wow, this is good. This is no joke. This guy is, making, $5,000 a day. I never had that money before. I'm like, I can do that. And I wasn't winning for like years. And then I reached out to Jay, and he helped me. He started with his strategy. I then turned it into my own. And after, 1.5 years of just straight waking up in the morning, losing money every day, I wake up like, oh, how much money am I going to lose today? I then, learned from my mistakes. And just kept focusing, kept figuring out, what's working, what's not working, and just never gave up. I think the biggest thing for me was I never gave up, and now turning into some success over the past, year now. And most recently, I've done the 650 to like 25K, and then the most recent one was the 3,000 to now over 6 figures. So it's been a wild ride. And then this Conservative Collectors group, it's changed my life in ways that I would have never seen before. My family members still don't believe it, but it's been awesome.
It's absolutely nuts, man. That's nuts. I love it. I love it though. So when you started talking to Jay, was there like any type of a turning point? Like where did you realize that from when you were losing money, obviously everyone loses money when they first start, to where you started to maybe break even, and then you actually started to see those returns consistently?
Yeah. So when I started talking to Jay, I reached out to him like, dude, you're killing it with SPY, all he does. He's an amazing trader. And I'm like, can you please mentor me? I paid him a couple bucks and he mentored me. And I think the biggest thing for me, I tried to copy his strategy exactly. And I think a lot of people get caught up in copying everyone's strategy exactly to them. And I'm like, you know what? I need to figure this out to my own personal style, my own personality. Do I like to swing? Do I like to day trade? Do I like to scalp? And I figured it out, took all the indicators off, just focused on price action. And I realized I like to swing. So that was me. And I think my turning point was trying to figure out my own personal style instead of trying to memorize someone else's. My turning point was then just focusing on my own and learning from my own mistakes instead of trying to think, oh, well, why is Jay's strategy not working? I want to know why my strategy is not working. So then in the long run, I can make it and make my own plays and just grow that way.
Completely makes sense.
That was big.
Yeah, that completely makes sense. So what would you say separates you as a pro or a consistently profitable trader versus someone who, whether it's just starting or has already started and has gotten to that point where like, oh, I'm losing money, like, do I need to give this up? Like, is it the mental, is it the psychological behind trading that you feel like is the biggest issue for people to kind of comprehend and understand and get that down pat?
Mm-hmm. So I think what separates me from, say, like your average trader or someone who's just learning is my confidence. And I think that was something that also set me apart. I was, going to chat rooms like, should I buy this call? What do you think SPY is going to do tomorrow, next week? And then I just switched it from mindlessly executing on my plan. And that's coming from, months, almost years of losing and understanding that, okay, now my plan works. So I'm going to mindlessly execute. Say my level breaks, I'm just going to enter. If I lose, I lose. No questions asked. I'm confident in what I do. And I think that separates me because I don't care if someone thinks, oh, SPY is going to dump next week, next month. I'm just going to go with my plan because there's so much noise in the stock market. There's so many different opinions. You just got to be confident in yourself and understand that what you have in play is important to you. And it doesn't matter what, this guy says or that guy says, just focus on yourself.
I love it. So I know that a lot of guys that I know personally who are interested in the stock market, they're very caught up in what's big and trending, like when do you think it was that you started learning more about technical analysis and reading the charts versus going off of hype or what everyone else is saying? Like, was there that turning point, and how do you feel that changed your trading?
Yeah. So when I first started, like I said, it was in that little group. And I had no idea what a chart was. I literally was charting on Robinhood, that little line, and no like candlesticks. I'm like, oh, maybe this will go up tomorrow. Absolutely no idea. And then I hopped on YouTube and they're like, go think or swim. And I got a think or swim. And I was like, what is a ticker? I typed in like Netflix full name and why isn't this coming up? I'm typing in Netflix. Did I misspell it? What's going on? And then once I figured out technical analysis, it's, you've got like 500 different indicators, this chart, this 5-minute time frame, this weekly, monthly, so many different things. I think once technical analysis came into play and I realized there are levels, there are areas where buyers, sellers step in, that changed my trading completely. Where I would, just randomly buy is now not a random buy. It's off a line, it's off an area on major charts, major historical levels. And I think the biggest thing for my technical analysis was and still is trading on those larger timeframes, those daily, those weekly, monthlies, not trading until certain levels break and just literally being patient. There are sometimes weeks where I don't place a single trade because levels don't break and I'm just not going to trade out of boredom. But yeah, those larger timeframes and that technical analysis is flip my trading around.
Yeah, that's a great point. So with technical analysis, I know that I've been learning a lot about it myself past few months, and I know Jay uses the Fibonacci tool a lot. Do you use the fibs when you're doing your charts?
So I used to, like I said, I used to do Jay's whole thing, his fibs, his EMAs, his momentum indicators, and then I realized, well, first of all, the stock market's hard enough. And now I got to worry about what my indicators are telling me. So I just took all my indicators off, and now I'm just trading based off my levels that I make on the monthly, the weekly, and the daily on the daily frames. And if my levels don't hit, then I'm not going to take a trade. But no, I don't use fibs anymore. I used to. There's nothing. I don't have anything against people that trade indicators. I just that's my style.
It's just straight price action for you.
Straight price action and straight volume. If there's no volume, then I'm not going to take any trades.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Cool. So what do you think, what attributes does someone need to have in order to be really successful in this career in trading?
I think it's going to come down to patience and, like I said, confidence, because there's so many people, I think, starting with confidence that I see, especially in my little chat room that I have, that are coming in like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to buy. I'm just going to buy this. This guy told me to do this. This guy told me to do that. And you need to figure out your own style so you can be confident and not have to worry about if your play is going to work or not. You need to, once you're in the trade, totally understand that if it doesn't go against you, first of all, no one's 100%, no matter how much money you have, no matter what hedge fund you work at, you're never going to be 100% on the year. And if you are, I'd love to meet them because I've never found somebody, no matter who, right? Like even like Ray Dalio, a legend, he's not 100% on the year. He loses big. And people place these bets that they think are going to happen and they just don't work out. So I think being confident enough and in your personality, you need to understand that, it's going to work out just based off your trades. And then patience sometimes. And again, in my chat room, I see people like, where are the trades? It's like, well, sometimes there's just not an opportunity to make any money in the market, and to sit and wait for an opportunity to present itself to make, 1,000% on your money, 2,000% on your money, is not going to come every day. You have to be patient and understand that this is, a waiting game. It's the stock market. You're not supposed to make money. So when the opportunities are there, attack on them. When the opportunities are not there, step away, move away, set some alerts. If they hit, they hit. But then just understand that you have to be patient, because you're not going to make money every single day. It's not how it goes.
It sounds like complete mental discipline is what it is. I mean, the patience involved with that.
It's crazy.
Because it's very hard. I mean, I know even me personally that it's like, it is hard on like some days, market will be open and you get that feeling. It's like, if you're not in a trade right then and there, you're not feeling either productive, or you're not feeling that so you end up starting to look for the trades rather than finding them, is what I've kind of heard, is that you don't want to go out searching the charts and look on the chart on one ticker and try to find the trade, try to mark your levels to where it marks out to a trade. You gotta set your levels, and you have to find it. You can't just be searching for it, because then you see the shit that's not there. So it's
exactly.
Like it's a placebo at the same time. So, and
I think the patience and the patience comes from, some days you're not going to make money. And it's so tough because in the real world, you have a 9 to 5. You're guaranteed to make your salary every day. You make money consistently every single day, obviously, until you get fired. And that's just the way salaries go in the stock market. There can be days where you lose money. There can be days where you don't make $1. And then obviously there are days where you make someone's salary in a day. But it's just this inconsistency that the human mind is not, comfortable with. People want, that stable income, stable whatever in their life. They want to make it stabilized. They want to make it safe. But once you pass that barrier of understanding that it's not normal to be making money some days, no days losing money, then maybe you'll start to understand that patience is key, and you just won't make money every day, because that's just not how it goes.
Right. That completely makes sense. It's the learning curve it's crazy, because it really, you go from growing up and like how you were taught in school. It's like, I mean, the way you're taught is like, go to school, get good grades, you go to college, you get that job, you work that 9 to 5. And like you said, like, they're just not comfortable working in an environment on days that you can lose money. And so it's a complete mind shift change when you're getting into trading, and when you become serious about trading, that there's that learning curve that you have to go through. And it all goes hand in hand. Really makes sense.
Right.
So I know you mentioned it earlier. So I want to talk more on this crazy extreme success that you've had recently, from that 3K account up to 6 figures now. Tell me about that.
Yes, I mean, it was crazy, and I never expected that. I knew I've been growing accounts now for a while. I do the 1K to 5K, and then take some money out, save it, because obviously the end goal for me is to hop into real estate. I do want that to be majority of my career. So I've just been saving and taking out all profits. But then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to grow this account. I went pretty heavy in some Amazon, and that was that patience came in. Amazon's been consolidating for a year now, and then it finally broke out, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna enter a pretty decently sized position here. And I woke up literally the day after I set the account. I made the account. I was up 30. It was a 30,000 a day. It was 1,000% play. 3,000 to 30K. It was I think 1,500% on the play. And then I'm like, okay, this just broke out. This is going to go again. And then I ended up buying more contracts, selling my initial position to be able to buy more contracts with that 30K. And then I woke up again. I also hopped in some shops. So just tech was rallying all over the place. And then that 30K, then I opened up to 60, 70K. And that was one account. And then another account, I took 250 and then 15K. So that was what the public saw. And then the day after that, Amazon ran, and I think I made another 50K. So it ended up being around 150K in profits that I now have withdrawn and deposited into my bank account for hopes of the real estate, because I know that the stock market isn't going to guarantee 100K weeks like that anymore.
Right.
Yeah, right. But it was a wild ride, to say the least.
That's incredible. I can only imagine. And it's like, I know there is so much, because I mean, you take somebody that has either just gotten into trading or has never traded a day in their life, and you put them in your position where they turn that 3K into that amount of money. It's like there's there's a mental difference between, say, you and someone that would have been just put into that position. It's like that trading mentality, because that person that hasn't gone through that learning curve, that hasn't understood the psychology and everything behind trading, you put them in that position of a 6 figures account, they're going to blow it. They're going to blow it
Right.
within, because they're going to take all of that, put it on another play, and it goes the wrong way. They'll lose it.
Yeah,
And so it's
definitely.
like
That's totally
completely
true.
Yeah.
Because people are like, they expect, first of all, I think people, and myself included, when they first get into the market, they expect, you know, them to be millionaires in a week, 100,000 a week, something like that. That's the reality that I thought. And now it's just, you know, now I realized in my experience now, multiple years of doing this, that $100,000 weeks don't come every week. They don't come every month. Those are, you know, once a year type of plays that you just need to understand that you got to take your profits and run, deposit to the bank account, save it up for
100%.
other ventures. It's just not realistic. I wish it was, but it's not. So
Right.
that experience, that mindset of understanding the whole situation is something that I think gave me that edge over someone who would have just been starting with that money. Yeah,
100%.
Still crazy week.
Yeah, man. Wow, that's crazy. I
Yeah.
can't even. That's nuts. So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? I know you said you wanted to shift more into real estate, and rather soon. Is that kind of where you see yourself building that portfolio?
Yeah. So actually, I two people in the group that I met, the group that I made, we're moving out to Philly together. Us three. We decided I'm doing community college online because I'm like, I want to take advantage of some stocks. I want to be able to catch the moves. I'm not really trying to go to class. I mean, was I debating on not going to college? Yes, but I thought, you know, might as well give it a try. So I'm going to see where that first year college goes, and then see what type of money I make elsewhere outside of college to depend on if I just drop out or I stay in it. So I'm gonna start there, and then I've been looking every day, Philadelphia properties. I'm gonna try to buy some properties, flip some properties, maybe buy a rental. It's just tough because rentals, I personally, for me, I would like to be in the area of my rentals. I don't know where I'm gonna eventually live. Like I said, I don't know where I'm gonna eventually live. And I don't want to be like 100, 200, 300 miles away from my rental property. Although probably I'll hire a property manager, it's still like want to be somewhere close to where majority of my money will be invested. But like I said, flips, I don't care where I do those. Those will be hopefully, you know, a couple months time being able to do those. But in 5 years, like I said, we hopefully will develop a nice real estate portfolio and just take off there from real estate and I'll always be invested in stocks. But we'll probably take a break from day trading every single day because that mental stress, I'm sure, as you know, is insane. So hopefully we'll switch to real estate and have a nice career there in 5 years.
Yeah, man, absolutely, I love it. So I know you touched on college and your situation with that a little bit. So take me back to so are you still in high school, or did you just recently graduate?
I graduated like 3-4 weeks ago. I've been a majority of my making this group and all this stuff has been in high school classes. Obviously this year I've been online and everyone's like, oh, why don't you come into class? I'm like, sorry, I just made more than my teachers today. I don't really need to come into high school class anymore.
Right.
But yeah, so majority of my stock growth and my career has been in high school in a classroom on my phone. They're like, oh, who are you texting? I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. I'm not texting anyone. And I'm like doing these stocks on the side. So I did just graduate high school, and then now I'm going to this community college thing here.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
and then it's crazy. No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So then this now transitioning to college, when I told my parents, so I didn't really tell my parents actually. I was on the phone with the real estate lady that was setting up my apartment, and I'm like, yeah, let's put the money down, let's do this. I was super scared. Moving out, you know, right out of high school with these two guys you've never really met in your life. Obviously, you connect with them on Discord and stuff. Is super scary. And then I was going to go to Binghamton. Parents were like, "Oh, that's so awesome! You're going to this D1 school. You're going to be great. You know, get a nice 9 to 5, get a nice degree, safe, happy." And then they're like, for about like 2-3 weeks, they're screaming at me like, what are you doing? You're not making any money. Your business is not going to last. I'm like, sorry, I just want to chase my dreams. If it doesn't work out, then college will always be there. I'm just trying to take advantage of these opportunities. So I then got a ton of heat from my family, and they're like, all right, then I'm not going to pay your rent. I'm not going to do this. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm here to chase my dreams. If it doesn't work out, then okay, maybe you told me so, but college is not going anywhere. This
Right.
opportunity may fall apart eventually. So I'm going to take advantage as much as I possibly can and see where this takes me.
Yeah, especially when we're so young too. I mean,
Right.
like
Like the
you're
risk
18,
is there.
I'm 20. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd so much rather make major mistakes now than I would down the line, or even down the line if I did do the route of college, got my 9 to 5, and I end up regretting it because I can't get that time back, and I can't afford to make some of the mistakes that I could right now,
Right.
just because we are young and we have so much time ahead of us.
I'm
Um,
totally comfortable with, losing it all right now. Going, running the bank account to zero, coming back home to mom. Like I lost it all. Like I'm totally fine with that. Now in 5 years, 25, 30, maybe potentially trying to start a family, you can't lose it all. You're going to have to provide for yourself. You're going to have to put food on the table. Now, yes, I'm going to have to probably provide for myself, put a little bit of food on the table, but still I can come back home and I can be like, all right, I lost it all. But I'm much more comfortable trying to buy a house, maybe losing it all, then go to a party in college and just lose my brain cells and not even get anywhere because everyone's just high. So
right. I get it.
I think
Wow.
I think I'm maybe taking a decent risk here and kind of excited to see what can happen.
Hmm. So to touch on that a little bit, so how is your friend group right now? Have you noticed that you've kind of stepped back a little bit from, say, your friend group, or like kind of step back just to focus on yourself, focus on your businesses? Like, have you lost any friends in the time, or think about
So
that?
I've always had, I live in a small-ish town. Everyone knows everyone really. Like I could walk down the street, I'd probably, know my neighbors, know the police, like the police know who I am. If I ever get pulled
Mm,
over, like they basically know me by name. It's kind of that close. In my high school, my grade, I knew everyone, like literally everybody. There was any news that got around, you'd hear it from everybody. But with my friends, none of them were never really like crazy, drugged out, anything like that.
mm,
They're always pretty supportive. You got some people that are, trying to make it big in baseball, some people that are trying to do this, but majority of them just have no idea what they're going to do. Some of them do have that, like, I'm just going to go to college, get messed up, get super high, and, just go there,
then figure
party,
it out.
party, party, the whole thing. And but I never really lost any of them. I kind of stepped away from the ones that were always on the crazy drugs. I just moved away even before the business because I'm like, I don't want to be around you guys. It's just not me. Um, but they always knew. They were always like, well, they didn't really always know. They kind of started to find out my Instagram as it started to get bigger and bigger and bigger. But there was literally a time, especially in Corona, I was literally stepping away. I didn't come out. I didn't come out for like one whole month. I'd stay up 16 hours a night. Came out the first time and I was like so pale and they're like, what is wrong with you? You haven't seen the
What
sunlight in
happened?
forever. I'm like,
Yeah.
sorry, I've just been stuck in the stock market. And yeah, but I've never, no, my friends have always been there. They've always been supportive when I do bring up a little bit of it. And thankfully I've never had any like major problems where I'd have to leave them or anything. And I do
Right.
think I'll probably stay in contact with them a little bit. I don't know if I'll be a business partners with them, but they're cool to go
Right.
and hang out with.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah.
So how were you in high school? Did you like, what were your grades like? Were you the best student, or were you behind,
Um,
or
I was always like a pretty good student. I think I was decently smart. I probably had like a 90-ish average. So not too bad. I think towards the end of senior year, I was just totally slipping, and that was when the business started taking off. The stock started
Mhm.
taking off. I'm like, now there's really no point of me coming into class. First of all, and now senior year, I don't need to go to class. I'm already, going to college. I'm graduating. I'm not gonna not graduate. But I was always kind of on top of my work. Always handed my homework, but I wasn't too like need to get 100 on this test. Need to do so
Right.
good. I need to do this. I just got by. It
Gotcha.
wasn't worse. It wasn't amazing, but got by.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Cool. 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 So did you ever have, going back to trading a little bit, on your journey, did you ever have those moments throughout those years where you you might have thought that you weren't getting it, or you weren't doing something right, or if your strategies were messed up, or is there ever a time that you thought about quitting?
Oh, 100%. I literally have my desk over here. I got notes. I'm like, don't quit, don't give up. I wrote it down. I wrote the dates down. I'm like, don't ever quit. This is trying you. This is giving you tests for what's about to come. And there was literally times it was like 3, 4, 5 in the morning, and I'm like, I was just crying, like, is this ever gonna work? Like, what's gonna happen? Why did I waste all my time here in the stock market to just lose my entire bank account? What's going on? Is this really, you know, what am I doing? All the thoughts of, you know, when you're really at rock bottom. It all went through my head, and I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, it's been this great, I just made all this money and life's been great. The amount of stuff that I've gone through and with trading, outside of trading, is insane. And I think the biggest thing, if anyone who is trying to go through it and go through the stock market, it's not going to be easy. You're going to be there. You're going to understand that you're going to get hit with majority of your accounts lost. You're going to get hit with is this worth it? Should I just quit now? I think the biggest thing is to just stick with it, because eventually it will pay off. If anyone can do it, then you can too. That's what I kept thinking to myself. If some random dude can make this money, I've no reason why I can't. So always stuck with it.
I love it. So what was your first job?
My first job, I live near a beach. I live in New York, so I live near a beach. So I was a cabana boy with 2 of my friends, and that was fun. That was awesome. I was making, you know, pretty good money, but I was working like 12, 13-hour days because it was like 9 to 9. People would stay. You'd have all your beach club members. They're like, do this, do that. I was making good money, like I said, but I'm like, you know, there's got to be a better way to make this money than working 13-hour days, be able to do that. If other people can do it, and I kept saying that to myself, other people can do it. If other people can make money like that without, you know, working at a beach club for, you know, 30, 40, 50-hour weeks to make money like that, then I got to do it. So every time I was on the beach club, I was listening to podcasts, listening to, you know, Andy Frisella, all the guys, and I'm like, let's make this work. And then every time after the beach club, I'd come home, do the stocks, and all the money that I made from that again would go into my accounts to ultimately get blown. But, you know, it was a learning experience.
Right. That's really cool, man. I love it. I love hearing about the journeys, dude. Like, it's so crazy how many things that, like, I personally can relate to, and I know a lot of our guys can, like, really relate to. Like, they either had the exact same thought that you just talked about, or I love hearing those. It makes you, it lets you know that you're on the right path, that all of y'all have gone through the exact same thoughts, same situations as the up and coming traders and the guys that are really trying to get there. So that's why I really love hearing it.
I've talked to, you know, majorly successful people, millionaires, and I think if you talk to anyone really successful, there's probably and obviously some people that have just never really had any issues, grown up in rich houses, whatever it may be, that just took off. But I think majority of people, they go through it. They go through the lows, the lowest of the lows, and that's where people quit. And if you can stick through that, then you'll most likely make it. Obviously not a guarantee, but I think you can make it. I think anybody can make it, as long as you have the mental fortitude to just understand that it's short term, and you got to think big picture, that all this learning, all this pain that you're going through will eventually pay off, because that's all you can do when you're sitting in times like that and learning something new. And you're just going to have to do that, because if it was easy, everyone would do it. It's cliche, but it's totally, totally true.
Exactly. That's what I know. Like with trading, it's like so many people that, like, especially guys that aren't as invested to it or as learned as much about it, they don't realize or understand that it's like reading the charts and technical analysis, understanding technical analysis. It's like, that's like 10% of trading. Like the rest of trading is all psychological. Like millions of people are looking at the same charts you are. Like there's so many factors like that mentally that you have to take in when you're trying to learn how to trade. And there's so many people that I feel like that I know that guys, when they first start learning about technical analysis, this is how I would think, is like you would see a level and it's like you see that level, so it's like, okay, so it's got to hit this level before it continues. It's got to break this level before it continues. Not what could happen in between, not what everyone else is saying. Like if it's an obvious breakout, everyone's seeing the exact same thing.
Totally.
So totally. I really try to talk about that a lot in our server, is about how big the psychology is in trading and how it's 90% psychology.
It's crazy because when you're charting on like a Sunday night, nothing's moving. You have no in the moment emotions of, you know, maybe what are we going to break out? Are we going to fake out? Do I enter 20% of my account? Do I enter big position, small position? All these thoughts that need to go into your head when you're in the moment is totally outside of your technical, you know, your lines, your patterns, your whole thing, that you must go into it. And it's not as simple as just buying off support. You'll make 100% of your money because maybe the support breaks through, maybe this happens, that happens. It's never one thing. And that's where the tough part about trading comes in, because you can never master that emotion. It's always a learning process.
Yeah, I love it. And it's all probability at the end of the day too. And that's what I've really come to realize that recently. It's just like, instead of me thinking like I'll be charting something out and I see the play set up, and then I'm immediately thinking to it of, it's like, okay, so if it does hit that level, that's just all it means is it's a higher probability of my play happening, not a guarantee by any means. So it's that was a big shift, I feel like, in my trading too, is understanding that at the end of the day, no one knows 100% whether a stock is going to go up or down. I mean, it's impossible. And so it's all probability and then the psychology on top of that. And so that's what I've heard all this time, and that I've learned so much about. So I love hearing more about it. And I love hearing different people's opinions and views on it.
I think what helped me as well is like, and I learned this from someone, is what I used to think was like, I'm going to put this much money in and I'm going to make this much, my account's going to double. I think when you start to shift from how much money you're going to make to how much money you could potentially lose, it will totally help you with your psychology or probability, because you need to start thinking, if I enter this trade with this portion of my account, am I comfortable with losing a decent amount of it? Am I comfortable with, you know, trading the next day if I lose it? How is my emotions going to get affected? All this stuff. Start thinking with how much are you comfortable with losing, and then you can go from there. Your trading will change, because losing the money is potentially a guarantee. It's not 100% that guarantee you're going to make money. If there was ever 100% chance that I was going to make money, I would get the biggest loan out I could possibly could and quadruple my money. There's never, you know, not even with the job, there's no guarantee that you're going to stay with it. You can get fired, and it's even more risky when you get into things like stocks and real estate. There's never, ever, ever 100% you're going to make that money. And I think a lot of people need to understand that, because some people think it's that easy, and it's not.
Right. Love it. Love that point. Let's see. I think we're running out of time a little bit here on Zoom, but so usually we can kind of wrap it up, but usually towards the end, we usually ask our guests, like, what's your overall goal in life? Like, say, where do you see yourself in 10, 20 years? Like, do you want to have a family? Do you want to be super invested in real estate? Like, where do you want to be?
That's a good question. And I think, you know, stocks and all this kind of get you caught up in the money, and money is great. And I do hope to be financially free. But my main goal is to make sure that everyone around me, especially my parents, who, you know, are not really well off, they don't have the greatest amount of their savings. So I want to make sure that they're retired and they're well. My goal is to retire them early if I can, pay off all their debts and all that. And then in 20 years, hopefully have a nice real estate portfolio and educate my children, and hopefully develop a family as well. A small one, not too crazy, probably like 2-3 kids, and then just educate them on financial freedom and the benefits of it, and obviously not force them into anything if they don't need that. But the goal first would be to retire my parents, and then obviously help as much people as I can to do the same thing that I did, because I think anybody can do it. There's no reason why you couldn't. So that is the goal: help as many people as I can.
I love it. I think that is so good, and you're a really good guy, and I'm glad that you see the value in actually helping people, rather than, you know, there's a bunch of these guys that come out here and show all their profits, and like they're just like, there's scummy people who are trying to just make an extra few bucks off of guys that are trying to learn and stuff. And that's what I really like about you and Jay, and like all the guys in TCX and Conservative Collectors. They're here to provide value at the end of the day, and they're really trying to help people, and I love that.
Right.
So I really respect it.
Yeah. So love to help people. It's honestly more rewarding than making a couple dollars.